Congratulations, you've made it to another episode of Feeding the Ducks. And congratulations, you've made it to another episode of Feeding the Ducks.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd make it, but here I am. I made
Yeah.
it all the way downstairs.
Yeah, it's for everyone. This is one of the first few episodes. But we've done like 50 of these already, and they have not worked.
The sad part is this is the best of what we've done.
Yeah.
This is the you should hear the worst.
Oh boy. Hello, all, and welcome back, everybody, to Feeding the Ducks. This is another episode of that show. I am one of your hosts, Pulp Free Kyle.
Pulp Free Pile. Okay, I'm Duck Feeder Joe.
Still?
Oh,
okay.
Actually, I don't think I used it last time, but
I believe you did.
I'll be the Duck Feeder.
All right. And this is Feeding the Ducks, as you've said before.
Yes, this is Feeding the Ducks, and actually a little bit on a sad note. Joe Pepitone passed away. No, not me, because I'm sitting here. But Joe Pepitone has passed away. For those who are older, they know Joe Pepitone as a former New York Yankee star back in the 60s. People younger than that will know their name from references on Seinfeld, several of them. But we know him as he is my uncle. And that would make him your great uncle.
That's what I tell people. I don't know if that's right.
I don't know how it works once you keep going down the line, but you're related to him through me in some way.
I've got a cousin that's once removed now. I don't know how that works.
Don't get into the removed. I always thought
if we're counting removes, then there are some people way more than just once.
I always thought removed meant that you didn't speak to them anymore.
That's what it would seem like.
Yeah. It just sounds so insulting. And we do have a lot of relatives that we have removed. But speaking of Joe, like I said, we'll go through a little bit of his life today. He died on March 13th. I think the official date was at the age of 82. And if you know anything about Joe Pepitone, the fact that he made 82 with his lifestyle and everything that he did, it's quite an accomplishment. And he lived a really full life, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. But we'll just go through some of that. I think it's just something to talk about. You're getting in my mic's face. And it'll be some just get it out there. I mean, a lot of people know him. A lot of people knew of him or heard the name. So we'll just fill you in on some of the stuff he did and some pull back the curtain and some family related stuff we'll throw in there about Joe that we know. I'll just start off with his sports. I know you're not a big baseball fan, but Joe was played for the Yankees from 1962 to 69.
Nice.
Finished his career in 1973. But with the Yankees, he was coming up. He was the next big thing. There was the Yankee tradition went from Ruth to Gehrig to DiMaggio to Mantle, and Joe Pepitone had the talent, and he was being brought along as this is the next Hall of Fame Yankee. This is the next great. He had the perfect swing for Yankee Stadium and the perfect personality for New York. And he came in as a star and he started off as a star. He had some great seasons through his years. He was a all-star three times Gold Glove. He was a great first baseman and finished his career with 219 home runs. Now that's a pretty good career. It's not a Hall of Fame career, obviously, but if you factor in to the amount of time that he just wasn't there, whether he was at the game or not. His lifestyle, his partying ways kind of hurt his stats a little bit, let's say. But it made him bigger than life in New York. He was perfect for the town. The fans loved him. He was popular all the way till the end. I mean, he would show up at old timers games, and people still loved him. People still knew the name, and he had a pretty good career and could have been great, but who's to say and who's to know? Joe did what he did, and he lived the life way he wanted to. So some of that was good, some of that was bad. But on the field, he was really a talented player. And I run into people older than me who love to talk about him. I got people in the gym.
Oh, I do too.
Oh yeah,
I've gone through the school system. I've had some pretty old teachers. It is a name people recognize as much as they don't know how to pronounce it. It's a last name people recognize.
how do they pronounce it? How hard is this?
You've never gotten Pepitone?
I got Pepitone. Yeah,
Yeah.
they throw in a little extra Italian into that. But yeah, Pepitone. Yeah, I've gotten that too. I get there's the older guy in the gym who every time I walk in decides to put on his PA voice and give me a big introduction every time I walk into the gym, which I really love that. It doesn't bother me at all. The gym
Here
when
it
everybody
comes.
that's exactly how it does. I'm like, I just want to be left alone here. But it's something like that. And growing up, for me in the 80s, and I played baseball, it's tough to when everybody sees the name Pepitone. Oh, this kid he's a Pepitone. He must be great. He comes from that.
Yeah, because that's how that works.
Yeah, it doesn't. I did not live up to that, as you can see. But it was just something that was on me the whole time. It just people knew him, especially in the 80s. Even though he was done playing for a long time, he was still known. He still came back to the Yankees and coached. So he had this an amazing life and incredible stories to tell.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, oh yeah, you some of them you shouldn't hear.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely in pop culture history. And as far as pop culture history, he was mentioned several times on Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm. So my takeaway from that is that Larry David obviously was a fan or just knew the personality and mentioned it. I think you got the list of the shows he was on that mentioned in.
Literally everything you just said. Yeah.
Well,
the
episodes.
we're talking episodes.
I like to go through the episodes.
Oh, okay.
People don't know because that was a while ago too. Time
Yeah.
marches on.
Yeah.
But you okay?
No, I'm thinking. You keep going.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
okay.
3 episodes I remember on Seinfeld. One was
Yes.
you got it there, so tell me if I'm wrong. Was the mom and pop store?
Yeah, that's one of them.
Which mention was that? Was that the
George suggests having
Yes.
Joe Pepitone
yes
Day.
yes that is the John Voight a car episode, and George is working for the Yankees, and he just blurts out that hey, we should have a Joe Pepitone Day. Just
Why?
a quick because it was just a quick reference, and I said Larry David or Jerry must have been a fan or something. And just
Did Larry David have
what?
a hand in Seinfeld?
Are you kidding?
I didn't know that.
He's a co-creator.
I did not know that.
He is one. Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's bad.
I just kind of
That is
figured it was
bad.
Jerry doing his thing.
No, it was Jerry. And,
All
Oh my
right.
God. And we'll get into that. George is basically based on Larry. No, you got to watch some
I didn't catch
Seinfeld.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
I can't. We established this in the last episode. It's too popular for me.
Oh yeah, that's right. You don't like the cool stuff, but he was mentioning that. The big one I remember, the two big ones. In one episode, Kramer goes to fantasy camp, and fantasy camp, if you don't know, is people pay money to go down to spring training, and old Yankees kind of like work with them and play with them, and they play games and stuff. So in the storyline, Joe Pepitone's at the plate and he's crowding the plate, and Kramer doesn't like it, so he throws one at him. Almost
At
knocks
Joe
him down. At Joe Pepitone.
The Joe, like
He
was
well,
Joe.
it's mentioned.
Oh,
He's
he
not
wasn't-
on the show.
he
He was
wasn't
never
cast.
on the show.
Got
He was
it.
never on the
Okay.
show. It's just mentioned. And they throw at him, and he charges the mound, and a brawl breaks out. And in the brawl, Kramer punches his idol, Mickey Mantle. It's an hysterical episode. But again, Joe Pepitone was the
Wasn't Mantle like in the 60s?
yeah, but this was fantasy camp. It was later.
This is a flashback.
No,
Oh.
man. God, man, we're
I'm
gonna
not
start from
following.
scratch. Fantasy camp is if I want to go down to spring training, I pay money to go down there, and I get to play with older Yankees who
Got
show
it.
up at the camp and
Got
like
it.
train you
Okay.
and just hang out. And my uncle did a lot of these. So in the
Got it.
storyline,
Okay.
Mantle and Pepitone were at this fantasy camp. Kramer throws it. Pepitone charges the mound. Kramer punches Mantle. That was the joke around that.
God.
Obviously lost on you, but to the rest of the world,
I don't
it
know
was
the
funny.
timeline of these things.
And then the third one, I think this is probably the most famous, is when Kramer's driving, I guess, the handsome cab when they take the horse through Central Park,
Yeah.
and he's giving the people a tour, and he mentions to them that as they're in Central Park, that it was designed by Joe Pepitone. again, just out of nowhere, such a just a crazy, bizarre reference. Obviously not true as far as I know. He did not decide Central Park.
First I'm hearing of this.
Yes, but it was just lines like that that just it was just so weird to have his name
Interesting.
pick that Yankee from that time period and put them in the show 3 times.
Yeah.
And it continued on Curb Your Enthusiasm in a great episode where Larry loses his Joe Pepitone jersey, and Leon is out to help him find it. He goes crazy, and he sees somebody who's got the Yankee jersey on. He grabs it from him, rips it off the guy, grabs the shirt back, and he's in the car and he utters the famous line, "Joe Pepitone up in this motherfucker." And I always thought that was funny, and people used to say that to me all the time at work. It's just a hysterical line, and again, a whole episode based around a Joe Pepitone jersey.
Do I have to bleep that?
I thought we cursed last episode.
Oh, okay.
Well, then bleep it. But again, just for such a populist show like that, 20 to 30 years after he played, them to mention him several times, goes to show you what kind of impact he had on at least that generation. And definitely Seinfeld being a New York show, that reference is probably lost on half of the country. But still went with it. Still went with Joe Pepitone, and probably made people look him up and then just get an idea about who the hell he was and what the hell he was about.
Yeah, I mean, even in things I did growing up, obviously I mentioned the whole professor thing. I'm just gonna leave that there. The whole like, oh, attendance, Kyle Pepitone, any relation? Yeah, whatever. But I was reading a book once for school. Yeah. Like summer reading type project thing. And I was reading this book. I believe it was called The Wednesday Wars. And I don't remember the plot, but I remember liking the book quite a bit. But there's this one scene where the main character goes into the gymnasium and there's two baseball players there. I forget who the other one was, but Joe Pepitone was there. Joe Pepitone was mentioned in the book. It was like Joe Pepitone. I believe the line went something like, and there was Joe Pepitone, the greatest Yankee baseball player since Babe Ruth. Okay. I might be paraphrasing a bit, but it was something along those lines. I might be even getting the since Babe Ruth part wrong. It might have been another player, but
probably not true.
Yeah.
Well, no matter what player that was, if it was Ruth or Mantle.
But it was just weird to see.
Yep.
Because it's not like we're related to someone like, I don't even know who a modern day, like let's say Robert Downey Jr. Where it's like Joe Pepitone was known, but it's not like he was he was not top of the top.
No, he was he played like there was, like I said, Roger Maris, another.
That's what I'm saying.
He was on this team and he was famous at the time, but you wouldn't put him down as these legendary players,
right?
But
which is why it was so weird to see out of everyone him being in there.
That's what's weird with the references from him, because he's in that time period in the 60s and stuff, and like I said, good player, but you don't think he would be mentioned so much, but he turns up in pop culture a lot. They mentioned him on The Sopranos too, so he was he hit something with people enough to mention them in Hollywood and to get his name out there. So like I said, his life was crazy. But it's funny you mentioned that, are you related? Because that's what I thought my name was growing up. Joe Pepitone, are you related? Because that's what I got from every teacher, every playing sports. Once in a while when we'd make the local paper, our teams, and if I did something in the game and my name was mentioned, it was always Joseph Pepitone, nephew of Joe, or nephew of the former Yankee.
Joe Pepitone, not that one.
Yeah, basically, it was always there. It was always something, and because there's just he was known, like I keep saying, known, loved, and remembered. So no matter what, again, for all the good and the bad, he was remembered for it, and he lived that life. He was big on the night scene in Manhattan. He ate up New York. New York was perfect for him and also detrimental to him. I don't know if he was playing in Minnesota, if he would have had that same kind of lifestyle, but he was from Brooklyn. He played for the Yankees at during when the '60s when the Yankees was still a great team. It was kind of towards the end of their run, but I mean, he basically owned the city. He could walk into any place in the world, get drinks, get women, get. He just was the lifestyle was perfect for him, and he just ate it up. And eventually, it would eat him up. But man, he made no apologies and did what he had to do. But yeah, that was growing up, and you didn't meet him much. You didn't. We he was out
Yeah,
Long Island. But you did have an
I
encounter
believe I
with
met him
him.
once, but before we go into that, I want to
Yeah,
backtrack to the
yeah,
professors because I
yes,
remembered I had uh blank economics. It was either macro or micro,
same thing.
whichever one was the easier one.
We don't understand either one. So
Yeah,
what's the
I believe it
difference?
was macro, but I had a macroeconomics professor when I was in high school while going to college. It's confusing. Don't think about it too much. Who was obsessed with Joe Pepitone. Like this went beyond the
Yes,
just are you related. Like he was a bit of an older dude, but he like not looked up to him, but like he knew Joe Pepitone well and like
yes.
liked him a lot more than any other teacher I had. And then for prom, my senior year, we went to LBI, and this arcade we went to had a thing at the prize counter of signed baseballs,
Mm-hmm.
just a bunch of them. And I said, screw it, I'm going to try and win a signed baseball for my economics teacher, signed by Joe Pepitone.
You just probably could have got it from. We
Uh,
probably could have got it for you.
yeah, it was
No, but
it was
you
only like 16,000, 160,000 tickets, maybe.
for Joe Pepitone. That's interesting.
You
Okay.
know the tickets at arcades.
Yeah, but that did you win?
No, I didn't even come
All right.
close.
Well, next time.
I sure I still have the arcade card. So if we want to go back, we can
We can give it a shot.
keep
It
racking them up.
might be worth more now. Might be worth
Ooh,
more
yeah,
now.
good point. You're right. They might upsell the
Yeah,
ticket
yeah.
prices.
It's hot right now.
So
But back to
yes,
the other thing, like I said, you did not meet him many times, but when you did, you got a story, I believe.
I drove a boat.
Okay,
Is that not the one you meant?
that's not the one of the story, but yes, you did drive his boat. We went to his house at Long Island,
Yeah.
right off the water. There, he had a nice boat. Took the whole family on it. You were young. You should not have been driving a boat.
No, but I think Allie drove a boat too,
Yeah,
and she was even younger.
Yeah, but well,
I believe Talia did too, and she
no,
wasn't
no,
even
I don't
born
think.
yet.
I don't think she was born. But you did. We were at the house. We had a nice
Yes.
day there. We went on the boat. But something happened.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he used to have this dog.
You always had dogs. He had a ton
Yeah,
of
but
dogs.
this one particular dog looked like it's something you would find under a couch, like a dust bunny. It was just this. It was a dog, that was sure, but it was just full of gray fur.
Really? I don't remember it. I don't
That's what
remember
I
what the dog was.
remember it.
Yeah.
But my back was
Yeah, I
turned,
was
as
gonna
you'll
say your
soon
view
hear.
wasn't very
And so at one point, we're going in and out of the house. Everyone's chilling outside. It's cool summer barbecue. Woo, yeah, great. And so I was going in and out. And one time when I was going into the house, the dog was right next to me, right next to the sliding door. And then I just feel this pain in my ass, literally. The dog bit me in the ass. And
nice.
as a what, 12-year-old maybe?
You were younger than that.
Young,
You were
okay,
younger
let's
than
say
that.
well,
10, probably 10,
nine
9,
or
yeah.
10-year-old. I didn't know what to do other than just start running. So I run through the house, the dog chasing me, and I wound up in a bathroom
So
where the dog wound up quartering me. I don't know what I did, but he was pissed off. Like this dog was pissed.
and he got you on the ass.
And he got me on the ass. He probably would have gotten worse if somebody had not come in and
dragged him
pet
away.
controlled him.
Yeah, that was it. Come meet your Uncle Joe. and
And I have been afraid of dogs since.
That's all due to him. Due to that dog. I forgot what that dog's name was, but yeah, he bit you on the ass.
Yeah, he did.
That was your memorable moment.
Glad to make memories.
Yeah, you met him a couple other times, but I think
I don't
that's
remember any of
yeah,
those
you're
other
probably
ones.
younger, but yeah, that was the good one. That was the good one. Fun times, fun times.
Yeah,
with
thanks for
Joe.
you.
Yeah,
I got
but
I would not like trick or treating for years after. I would have somebody else go up, check to see if the house had a dog before I even approached the door for candy.
so you could say he had an effect on your life too.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes. Your fear of dogs. This is why we don't have a dog.
Yeah,
Because
that's the reason.
his dog bit you on the ass. Oh yes, yes. So that's your history with Joe.
And that's
Pretty
where it
much.
ends.
But yeah, well, growing up, I had no problems with his dog. I always got along with his dogs. He would take us when he was working with the Yankees. He would take us to some of the games. We'd have great seats. We'd sit in the either in the luxury box
Yeah.
or first thing. So when he was on good terms with the Yankees and stuff, it was really good. You'd walk through the stadium with him and people would follow him everywhere. It was just fun to watch the people react and kind of gravitate towards him everywhere he went. And he loved that. He loved being the star. He loved being a name, and that's what he did. He played the role to the tilt. But on since we have so much knowledge of his life from what's out there already that the world knows, and stories we have been told from our family and stuff we have seen, my brother Bill and I actually have done a couple things with his life story in print and hopefully on film. So I'm gonna bring Bill Pepitone onto the show now, and we can talk about some of those things.
All right.
Bill is a retired New York City cop. He is a author. He is a former candidate for New York City mayor, and he still hasn't conceded. So he still might have a chance.
Okay.
And
Not sure that's how that works.
and he's got some tales to tell. So let's bring him on now. All right. Well, welcome to the show, Bill Pepitone. As we said earlier, my brother and your uncle, kind of like a nepotism here.
Like Pepitism?
Oh, that's good. We should name the show that.
No.
Welcome, Bill. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How's everybody doing tonight?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We're talking about Uncle Joe Pepitone here.
I drove a boat.
Yes, you did drive his boat, and the dog bit in the ass.
Yeah, that one too.
But
That's right.
I definitely thought it would be great to bring you on because you probably have more stories. And the one I'd want to start with is the one that has baffled me since childhood. You were graduating 8th grade.
Correct.
13 years old, 14 years old, whatever it was. And our parents, and your grandparents, kind of strict. We didn't get away with a lot of shit. We weren't bad kids because they were on top of us. However, when he graduated high school, grammar school, 8th grade, elementary school, yes. They sent you, well, you just tell us what they did.
Okay. I had not yet graduated elementary school, so they really were taking a risk right there. So yes, it was 1981. It was March of 81. And to reward me for graduating elementary school, which 99.9% of everyone does, they sent me on a trip to spring training with Uncle Joe to see the Yankees. So you were not invited. You were not there.
No, I was not. But
No.
there must have been some kind of supervision, right?
Yes, Uncle Joe was there. and Uncle Patty, who's the redheaded version of Joe.
Yes.
Do you want me to tell you about what happened?
Well, don't go into too far details, but
Okay.
you could give the
PG-13 version.
yeah, the shotgun story is always good.
I'll give you a quick overview.
Yeah.
I was 13 years old, and I saw and heard things most 13-year-olds, or actually all 13-year-olds, should never hear or see.
Or 40-year-olds.
But from a baseball perspective, I was in my glory. Of course, all our heroes were there. Reggie was there, and Catfish Hunter was a coach, and Guidry and Gossage, and all I wanted to do was meet Greg Nettles. Uncle Joe said, "Come over here. I'll introduce you to Reggie." And I was still pissed at Reggie over the Reggie Billy thing. We took Billy's side, if you remember.
Yes, I do remember.
So I wanted no part of Reggie. I wanted to meet Greg Nettles. Uncle Joe took me over to Greg Nettles and introduced me. He said, "This is my brother Billy's son. He's down on vacation with me." So Greg Nettles, my idol, looked at me and said, "Your dad sent you down here with him?" I mean, Uncle Joe. And I said, "Yes." And he said, "By yourself, just you and him?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Son, your dad's trying to get rid of you."
I always did. I was too young to figure it out, but later on, it was just something wrong with that whole situation.
Yes, and luckily it had no far-reaching effects on me. But yeah, I was probably in some situations I shouldn't have been in. But again, we're not going to go into that.
No, no,
but from just a baseball perspective, yeah, of course, it was great. It was all the Yankees that we were watching on television were there.
Well, what we've been talking about has basically been the good. There was good and bad with Joe, and you probably experienced it on that trip. There was some
within the first couple hours.
So imagine that. I mean, like I said, Grandma and Grandpa. How could they have allowed that? I mean, he's in another state with it's Joe Pepitone and my other uncle, who was just as crazy and insane as Joe. And they let him out, and they let him go by themselves. And I believe at some point they said, "Okay, you're coming back tomorrow," or whatever it was. And you said no or something. You weren't going back to school. What was it?
Yes, I called them up and they said, "All right, your flight's set to come back tomorrow." And I said, "No." And Mommy let out a few expletives and MFs and "Get your ass back on the plane home tomorrow." And I was like, "I'm not coming back. I'm staying here. I'm staying in Florida. I don't care if this. I'll live on a beach in a Volkswagen Bug. I don't care."
Probably would have been the right choice,
It probably, in retrospect, would have been a better choice. But yeah, Mommy almost came through the phone and hung me. So I made the choice to come back, and whatever. Roll the dice. Let's see what happens.
This was his graduation gift from 8th grade. You know what I got 4 years later when I graduated? With better marks than him, man.
I'm going to guess a better gift.
No, I got a used black and white TV. His black and white TV. That's what I got. There was no, I guess
at least they weren't trying to get rid of you.
Maybe it was a good thing. But yeah, that was the story there in spring training. So your grandparents are insane.
Well, I knew that.
That was odd. That was odd that they let me go.
Yeah, I still can't believe that. I still don't get that. But yep. So Joe's like, we were talking about Joe and just an incredible life and how he's still in pop culture. We were talking about the Seinfeld references and he's out there. But you and I co-authored a book from a couple years ago that Joe had kind of some involvement in. But it was called Soul of a Yankee. And just take us through what that was about.
We had an idea. There was a lot of things going on with Lou Gehrig and Cal Ripken passing his streak several years before that. And we, in a discussion at the dinner table, where most of our more important discussions take place.
Genius ideas come from.
Yes, well, that's the think tank, as we call it. At the think tank, we said, what would Lou Gehrig think about Joe Pepitone? Lou Gehrig was the Iron Horse, went to work every day, gave it his all day in, day out, played through a horrible disease. What would he think of Joe Pepitone, who they couldn't even find to show up for 2,000 games or 20 games?
Yeah, his record was not in jeopardy with Joe.
His record was never in jeopardy. No. So we put some thoughts together and said, imagine if Joe had to go back through his life and Lou Gehrig was his escort, showing Joe all the things that he did wrong in his life, trying to find redemption. And then what if we threw Babe Ruth in as the devil on the other shoulder saying, "No, Joe, partying is much better. You want to stay out. You want to have fun. It's all about having fun. Don't listen to that stick in the mud, Lou Gehrig." And we put it in almost like a Ghost of Christmas Past type of scenario. And the book got rave reviews from some pretty good critics. Marty Appel read it, former Yankee PR director. several people. Bill Shannon, who runs a baseball magazine. We got great reviews on it. Great critical reviews on the book, and we got some good sales too.
Yeah,
If we
it
would
was
have
an
got a
independent.
little more help, we would have did fine.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he showed up to a couple of signings, and it was very helpful. But like he gets bored with stuff after a while. He's not
Yes,
going to do it. But did you know that book is in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Is it really?
It is, correct?
that is correct. It is in the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame.
That's pretty
And
cool.
We
Yeah.
walked in and we left it
Yeah,
there.
I think.
We left it in the bathroom.
it's in the bathroom somewhere. Hopefully, the custodians didn't get to it yet. Yeah, so
No,
it's the Hall of Fame, and we have a certificate from the Baseball Hall of Fame and a lifetime free membership. So whenever you want to go, just let me know.
Yeah, I don't think we're going.
Yeah.
That's a long ride.
It's a-
That's a long ride to Cooperstown.
There's nobody.
And I don't think you would enjoy it. Yeah. So we did the book. You've read the book, right? Just say yes.
I've looked
Pretend you care.
I've looked in the general direction of the book. I did try to read the book once, but books are a hard thing for me
Reading's hard.
to get into. Like there has to be a certain book for me to kind of finish. There's been a lot of books in my time that I didn't get through.
Yeah, you don't want to go read a book that your father and your
I'm
uncle wrote. No,
sorry,
that's okay.
I didn't realize it was the whole Ghost of Christmas Past thing. I thought you wrote a biography.
Man.
Biography. What?
That's like research. We're not going to do that. Make shit up. That's what we do.
Yes.
Stupid thing.
You heard me last episode. I don't write scripts. I don't prepare for things.
But it's funny you should mention scripts because again, we actually did some research and we actually wrote a film script. Bill and I did about his life. This one was true to his life, not the fantasy portion of it. And we wrote a script taking us through his life, the stuff we knew about him, the stuff that was out there in the world, stuff our father, your grandfather told us, and we put together a really good script that was optioned. But the fun part of it was we sat down with Joe a couple times to talk to him about the script, and we wrote the script based on some of the things he said, and then we were going to go to his house to talk it over with him. We had sent him the script earlier, told him to read it, and we'd come by and we'd go through it. So we send him the script. A couple of weeks later, we go out there, and what's the first thing he says, Bill?
After he opened the script and started reading it,
Yeah, what was his first complaint about the script?
he opened up the script, read a few pages, and said, "Billy boy, Joe, I don't curse like this in real life." He then proceeded to curse for the next hour and a half or so as he read through the script. F this, F that, mother F for this, mother F for that. The whole time saying, "I don't talk like that in real life." But,
And we're just like, yep, you're right. Just add a couple more F's into that script.
absolutely.
But yeah, and that was another one where we showed him the script, and again we got an option, and it could have been it's still out there. We're still pushing it, and haven't given up on that. But that was something that Joe, true to form, could have been a part of, but he just loses interest. He loses interest.
How long ago did you meet
Almost
with him?
immediately. It's a few years ago. A few years ago, we did the script. We've rewritten it several times, and we just got it optioned a couple of years ago. So we're moving. We're still pitching that out there, but I don't know now with not to try to make any I don't know, money or something on a passing. It's just something with Joe back into the thing. It's something that we would put out there. 'Cause
Are we still seeking Kiefer Sutherland for the lead?
for the lead?
Yeah.
I think he's too old and looks nothing like him. Other than that, he might be our guy.
It doesn't really matter. It's about names.
I think everybody we thought of is probably too old now. We would have to put in somebody that we don't know into it. That's definitely out of our
Robert
demo.
Downey?
What, Robert Downey?
Chris Pratt, he's in everything now.
Chris Pratt? Yeah, these are names. I don't know.
Milo Ventimiglia is the guy.
Who's that?
Milo Ventimiglia, who played Rocky's son in Rocky Balboa.
Yes, he would actually be good.
He's been in a few series since then. He's a big star now. And
he's
he
in
looks
that
a little like younger.
He
Joe.
does look like him. He's got that look. What was that show? Story of Us. I don't know what it was. He was on. He was on a
Yeah.
So,
Either
I
more
don't know.
alone.
Yeah, like I said, it's somebody we're not familiar with. We'll have to play that role. But that's the way it's gonna be.
Glad to help.
Well, you should know him. You're the younger.
I
You
have
should have a
never
name
heard
for
this
us.
name before in my life.
Okay, good. But yeah, so we wrote that script, and I think it's his story. His story should be told because it's just a great story. It's sex, drugs, and baseball. I mean, he did it all. He was involved with uh had some mafia ties and stuff like that. That he was involved with some people on that end. He was a baseball star. He was loved. He was in trouble, and just I mean, there's everything there in this story, and I think our script would a movie about his life would be great.
And he played without shoes.
That's
Wrong Joe.
Jesus, God in heaven.
I've been going off the wrong Joe this whole time.
God,
What is that?
what would be yeah, I don't know where to go with that one, but way to do research for this show too on your own uncle.
Which Joe played without shoes? Name it.
I got some guy in high school. You know?
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, not that one.
No, okay.
But yep. So that's I mean, there's 100 stories we could tell on him. You got anything else, Bill, that you want to mention about Joe, his life, anything?
Well, there was the time. This was before you were born, or we weren't paying attention to you. Somewhere around that time, when we lived in Chicago.
Be anytime.
When we lived in Chicago, I guess it was 72. So I was 5 or 6, and we went to Wrigley Field. Daddy took us to Wrigley Field. No, sorry, Daddy took me to Wrigley Field. And
There's
Uncle
a theme
Jimmy,
here. There's a theme about me being left out.
forget it. Uncle Jimmy was with us, I believe, too. And Uncle Joe brought over Ferguson Jenkins and Ernie Banks over to where we were sitting. And after they made fun of Uncle Jimmy for a little while, one of them, either Banks or Jenkins, said to me, "So who's your favorite baseball player?" And right in front of Uncle Joe, I said, "Tommy H.E." And they got hysterical laugh, and Uncle Joe was furious. I don't even know who the hell Tommy H.E. is. I don't know why he said that, but he never let me live that down. He always brought that up.
Tommy Agee was not on the Cubs, where he was watching the game.
Right.
He was never a Yankee. He was on the Mets.
Okay.
He was a man.
No reason to bring him up. Yeah, it was his favorite player.
He was. Hey, he made a great catch in the '69.
He did. He did.
I remember.
The Mets fan love him, but I don't know why he would have been your favorite.
I have no idea.
And I used to fight with him a lot about. I don't think he was a big fan of Bobby Mercer.
No.
Bobby Mercer, I think, was he was an outfielder for the Yankees. He was another one who was supposed to be the next big thing. But they moved him from outfield to first base, and they brought in my uncle to kind of show him a little bit about first base and how to play it. And my uncle just told the Yankees he doesn't got it. He can't do it. He can't play it. And Bobby Mercer had disliked Joe after that. So I would always bring up because I had met Bobby a few times and worked with him, and I would always just rag him. Bobby Mercer, what a great guy. Really liked that guy. And it would drive him nuts. It would drive him insane because he was not a fan. And it would just, oh man, it would eat at him. He would get angry, very angry with Bobby Mercer. He wasn't a fan.
That was actually the spring training I was there when they were trying to move Mercer to first.
Oh, that was 81? Really? Okay.
81, spring of 81, and Uncle Joe was working with him.
Uh-huh.
And the Yankees asked him, like you said, is he ready? And Uncle Joe said, no. He's not. So Mercer confronted him in the clubhouse.
Oh, really? I didn't know this.
Yeah. He said, why'd you do that, Joe? Yeah, it could cost me money. And Uncle Joe said, you can't go left, you can't go right, you can't go up, you can't go down. What can you do? And Bobby wasn't happy.
No, I don't. That's some scouting report. Go up, you can't go down.
That was the end of Bobby Mercer's first base career.
That was it. That was the end of his Yankee career, I think.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there are a million stories. I'm sure a lot. I mean, definitely a lot we don't know about Joe's life, but he was a character. He was a colorful character, and Some loved him, some didn't get it, but he did what he did.
Yes.
So, thanks for coming on,
Of
Bill.
course.
We'll oh,
Anytime.
I'll obviously be talking to you after this, but again, name of the book was Soul of a Yankee. What was the subtitle was too long. What was the subtitle?
Uh, the Iron Horse, the Babe, and the Battle for Joe Pepitone.
Yeah, that was just a long subtitle.
We should have short.
Yeah, we should have just said the Babe.
The 2 word, like the Bible or something easy like that. Some people know.
But it's still out there. It's on Amazon and all those cool places. It's a fun book. That one's fun and fantasy, and the script's still out there. So, thank you again. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Take care, everybody. Have a good one.
All right, I'll talk to you.
Bye-bye.
And that was Bill Pepitone. Like I said, my brother, your uncle.
Thank you.
So you remember who he is? Author, former New York City police officer, former candidate for mayor. He's done a lot, but it was good to have his perspective and those
And
experiences.
yet here we are.
And here we are on our little Feeding the Ducks podcast. Yeah, so that was Joe's life. I wish you would have got to know him a little more, but we kind of moved apart. Life gets in the way sometimes. But again, to just summarize, Joe, an amazing life, filled with a lot of great moments. I mean, he played for the New York Yankees in the 60s with Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris, and Yogi Berra was his manager. That is an amazing life. He was still remembered with Hollywood and Yankee fans and just people in the New York, Chicago. They knew him, they loved him, and like I said, he had his demons, he had his issues. Probably cost him a lot in life, but he had a full life, and that he enjoyed what he did. So
Now, before we go, do you want to talk about what happened to you recently regarding his passing?
Ew. Almost forgot that one. Well, a couple things that just a few hours after he passed. I mean, we had just found out. We were trying to get details and stuff. I got a phone call from the New York Times, and this is I didn't get the guy's name, but it was New York Times obituary. And I don't know why they're calling me or how they got my number, but they said, I want to ask you a few questions about the passing of your uncle. I'm like, okay. We don't know much, but he goes, okay. So when did he die? I said, I think he died overnight. Again, we're getting details. What did he die from? I said, we have just found out. We do not know what the cause of death was. Still waiting on details. Okay, fine. Was he sick for a long time? And now at this point, I'm starting to get a little annoyed. I mean, it's a couple hours after we found out he died. Now you're pressing it. I'm telling you. And I said, I do not know what his condition was. I do not know what he died of. We're just getting details once again. And he goes, okay. So could you tell me about his kids and how they feel? So at this point now I'm angry. And I'm like, I am not the spokesperson for the family. We just found out about the details. And I cannot answer any more of your questions. Okay. So now tell me, what was he married? And I just lost it on the guy. And I started yelling. I said, we just found out we lost someone close to us. You're hitting me with questions. I've told you several times I don't know the. Check Wikipedia if you want any questions answered, and leave us alone. And unfortunately, we can't slam phones down anymore. But I'll tell you, I hung that thing up really, really hard and really fast on him. So yeah, I had that. And then the last thing I want to go, and just a bummer of a thing. Phil Mushnick of the New York Post is a sports writer, and he's kind of hard on sports, and I agree with him on a lot of things he said, but he wrote something about my uncle literally 3 days after his passing, and it wasn't very kind. He told some stories that are probably true. I mean, I'm not going to say no, Joe didn't do these things, but they were stories that can be told. Probably out there, everybody knew what Joe was like, but I felt that 2 or 3 days after his death, you could have waited a week get your little digs in, and that's big with a lot of sports writers, people who always wanted to play the game but couldn't play the game, and then they jump on this and think they're part of the game, but they're not. But again, I mean, he was a public figure. He's fair game, and he did do these things, but I just felt the timing was bad. So Phil Marshnick, blow me, and that's how I'll end on that. I will say to family, everybody, to Joe, rest in peace. A good guy, a fun guy, a talented guy, and everyone has their demons in life, and then they take them limited. But he did leave an amazing legacy behind, and a lot of people loved him, and a lot of people enjoyed when he played and his antics and his style. So I think he is someone who will be missed, but a terrific, long, fun life. And that's it. Just to rest in peace to my uncle, your great uncle, a father, husband several times, but still, God bless is how I would end that.
And with that, we will see you next week here on Feeding the Ducks. Take care, everybody.